Good morning, Justin with EquinEdge. We're back at the fairgrounds. Oof, yesterday, a bit of a rough day, probably one of the worst days of the meet, to be honest. It's gonna happen. I told a couple people, when I originally handicapped it, I was like, I really don't like this. I should have just stuck with my first opinion. But we're back. Great. They have a very good card today. I've spent most of my time around Gulfstream and Santa Anita, to be honest. But Scotty and I covered one of the sticks race here, and we'll talk about that at the very end. But that's where my focus spends. So, but I did get through predominantly most of the card. I didn't get the last two races, but it's a good one, I would say. The first race up here in about 15 minutes, so it's perfect timing. You know, I cut three horses down below. We had a couple scratches. You have Cigarette Boat. It's going to be a big price. You cannot ignore the value on Alcove, and that's where I'm going to land. And I play exacta box here with 6 and 3, but I like Alcove a lot. You can't ignore this morning line, and you have a pace square here, right? So they're going to be sprinting on the turf and speed, and that's the plan, I would say here. I mean, the 3 and 8 come over the top, and I'm not surprised the 8's taking money. I think that horse fits too. It's to me probably a 3-horse race. I didn't really love the 4, but you can see I cut it to these. But I think that Alco, when you dive in here, Danner went over on the synthetic at Turfway, and this was just a prep, right? I mean, we're in the 12 post, sprinted in a 58. Now they drop back here on the turf. And it's a former Cox, was a sprinter, but I thought could be really dangerous here on the front end versus this group. I think Cigarette Boat looks tough, though. But that was my thought. I thought it was between them two for me. Again, 4 and 8, if you're, not as much for me, but I could see it. Race number 2, another tough race. I didn't have a strong opinion here, but I'll leave you my thoughts here just so you have them. You can see I narrowed to those 4. So, I had a little more comfort in that first race, obviously with Cigarette Boat, and I really like the 6. So, but I had the 5 and 6, as my kind of top 2 picks. I thought you could try to beat the 9 in the outer post here, Whiskey and Easy. You can see Aubrey Green rides. This horse is going to be sprinting and stretching out. They could be dangerous up front. You look at these 46s and 40. This is a very competitive group, though, I would say. It's a tough race. But don't forget about these if you're playing horizontals. Race number 3, tough race. I won't give you my opinion there. We will jump to race 4 here. We have probably a few more minutes because I want to make sure you get this before post time in about 12 minutes. So when you'll probably get about 5 minutes to post, Sister Ella, Steve, and Jose here, I think is a player. La Nina Dorada is also a player. I also think the Pretty Sister a player for Tom Amos and Edgar Morales. So look here. So Tom claimed last out at Fairgrounds back in January. That was a 58, and this horse ran second. At essentially similar type of level. We're in a 58 SOR today, but now protected in this state bred allowance. Lively race, hit the board. One back here in a 50, sitting off the pace. So I thought this horse could really improve. You can see his 10% to win. It's not a great GSR. Is the biggest concern, I would say, there. When you look on GSR Plus, it's not a greatly bred horse, but I thought could be dangerous. But I also, his Sister Ella and La Nina Dorado were the 3 for me. That was my opinion. Not really a bet. The first race, I do like that exacta, but it's a tough sequence. Race 5 is the main special on the turf. I didn't have an opinion there. I will tell you. We're going to jump here because I did like this race, and then we'll close it out with the stakes race, which is probably more where my best opinion was, outside of early. So here, Loveberry Walsh riding the 3 Sneed, and then you have a Brad Cox and Hernandez riding the 4 Nash, who, definitely fits here, has showed some success at fairgrounds in the past, but didn't win in a 68 and 70. It's been on the shelf for a long time, raced in the Woody Stevens last out, then went on the shelf. It's a good spot to come back for Brad Cox. I mean, the horse is definitely getting a much softer spot. Allowance optional claim remains protected. I think has a big shot. I like the exacta box. I think I have Snead on top over Nash, but I like the box too. I'm not sure the price you'll get, but I like Snead here was where my top pick was. You can see, Brendan Walsh, J Love ride having second and wins, Ben Curtis third, having a good he's been climbing the ranks. But Loveberry rides here for Walsh, and you can see he showed a lot of promise last winter at Fairgrounds, and then won in a 68 right off the pace, and then nearly won in a 70. It went on a layoff for about 10 months, back in form cycle. Didn't necessarily run in either one of these 66s or 68s, right? But step slow here. You could toss this effort. My really improved here is my perspective, and I think could improve versus this group. Lightly raced, I don't think can be ignored. Not in the picks, but I think to pair with Nash. All right, this is the last one we'll talk about. Then I will finish up. And good luck if you're playing today. Again, I'm focused a lot on Santa Anita and Gulfstream today, but race number 7 here. This is the stakes race. We covered this on the EquinEdge preview show. Scotty and I did on Thursday, and you can check out that video. It's awesome, either on X or over on YouTube. So I still am on Auvert, I think is how you pronounce it here. Chris Block, he gets back to the turf. I think can sit outside, stocking post off the speed. There was a lot of speed in this race when we handicapped it on Thursday. There still is some pace, but not quite as much. But I think can get a good trip. That's where I would still land. You're getting a good price. Only like Accomplished Girl the 6, just FYI on that front. But I would still land there. A horse like the 10 and the 3, and 10, 3, 4, 6. I think all underneath for me. So 11, and then those horses underneath. And I think again the 11 horse has fits here, has been facing similar company, can get a good outside trip. You can see that run at Keeneland back here in the 72, and then one last and that was on the dirt and stakes company in a 74. So I think fits really good here. Big shot. All right, good luck. QR code up above, 3 free races. Have a good weekend. Press your opinions, and we'll be back. We're back tomorrow because it's Sunday and we still got racing.